Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Mr. Minority here with yet another Heroscape ranking. We're getting down to the wire here in terms of what's left of the OG. Here with an exclusive set, so not everyone's going to have this, especially not those people who are more going for the base set stuff. This is a little bit more on the ancillary side, but we have the Crest of the Valkyrie. Oh man, good memories with these. I remember receiving these as a youngster. Toys R Us exclusive. Game with, I think the Toys R Us thing was like you got a castle set and you got one of these free. So we got multiple castles, so we got multiple of these free. So yeah. Anyway. So true to the Heroscape nature, this is just creative, right? You don't have to have just wave, 1 to infinity. You can have it, some interspersings of other stuff, and this is what it is, right? You have some the camera over here a little bit, maybe. You have some battlefield boosters with as they would have in I would say ancient times, but up until some modern day battles that have the fly the flags, and I guess even modern day they have flags, but they don't have flag bearers necessarily standing kind of center of the army, whatever have you, or even at the front. So anyway, so this kind of invokes the kind of age old trope of having the flag bearer for your particular army. So it's a pretty cool idea. I like it. Now that being said, they're not necessarily very even in what they do. They don't really help. I'm trying to think if there's anyone. I don't think there's anyone in particular that just helps everyone for their army. They all have special criteria, and some of them kind of specific. So I don't know if it's necessarily a missed opportunity per se, but it's kind of interesting that not everyone can benefit from it. And starting off with the example, we got a Kalar, I think, or something. I'm going to put him in B tier. I like his potential. Again, the elf army is not necessarily the most meta thing in the world, but his Leaf of the Home Tree aura is pretty interesting. It's pretty unlikely to get it. You have to roll 10 die, and if you get 3 Ular symbols, or 3 symbols, or you're just interchanging die, whatever, you get the idea. Then you can ignore wounds on an elf who's going to die, that sort of thing. But then again, it's an elf, so all other Ular guys are screwed, right? At least with regard to this particular ability, it's only elves. So elves are a good chunk of Ular's faction. So okay. But in terms of it being a use, I think I've experienced it happening once or twice. Generally speaking, also, not just for this flag bearer, but for all of them, I wouldn't really, and I could be terribly off the mark with this because again, I haven't played a whole lot of, not a whole lot of, competitive, point ranked sort of things. I don't think the flag bearers are that meta. Ornak maybe, but I'll get to him later. These guys are kind of nice for huge armies, like as I said, I have more experience with when we would just have a huge bloodbath in the center, just all army cards and boom, and you're rolling, right and left, right and left. But even then, it's so unlikely, and I think I again got it only a few times, if even that. So not very useful. His secondary ability is okay, adding movement spaces. And this one is for all of Ular, I believe. So that's kind of nice at least. But you have to be adjacent to him when you start your movement, so it's only going to really affect it once. It's not like an aura, like you probably would imagine with a flag. So, okay, nothing really special. Hotomodo Taro? Let me see if I got the name right. Hatamodo Taro. I'm going to put him here, maybe a little bit behind. These guys are actually, to me, to be honest with you, going to be pretty similar. I think they're all pretty decent. This guy is also pretty specific. He's only affecting some right now. His, unlike the other one, is pretty good. If you can, because a lot of the samurai, right, are based on counter-striking, and this is really good, especially for the weaker defending ones, but then higher attacking ones. Then you can add, extra defense roll, and obviously, it helps for any samurai. And technically the Ashiguru, if I pronounced that correctly. But it really helps with the samurai, again, because of their counter-strike. There's so many counter-striking out there. But again, if you're not a samurai and you're Inyar, I'm sorry, can't really help you. And then his, adjacent tough thing is okay, but that just, benefits him. And it's like, okay. And by the time you're being attacked, it's like you're so worthless in terms of attacking, which I did forget to mention Akalar, or however you pronounce his name. He's average, as average can be in terms of stats, so at least he could do something. Hodamato Taro is below average, well below average. His attack of 1 and defensive 2. Sorry, his attack of 2 and defensive 2. Is not going to be doing any favors, but his ability is really good for the samurai thing, and that's why he is, worth the 130. He could be a game changer. He might be someone you could potentially draft if you are basing an entirely samurai, squad or army. Ligelor's an interesting one. I'm going to put him here. Maybe a little bit ahead. I'll put him here. Ligelor's interesting because he, at least with regard to the Valkyrie dice, doesn't give a shit about anyone. He's the only one, basically, who has no support for his friends when it comes to the Valkyrie dice. He's like, who? Huh? Who? Other guys in the army, I don't care. And that's because of his autoload whatever special attack, which is for him and himself only, where you roll the 3 dice, and if you get at least 1 Vital Simple, then you re-roll again. It's okay, but then, it doesn't really help, anyone. Now, of course, his other ability is pretty good, right? There's a lot of Vidar who count on range. Soulborgs are coming, most specifically to mind, and his Vidar enhancement range is pretty good. I believe you have to be within 4 clear line size spaces, is that correct? Yeah, so that's good. Some of these guys you have to, like the Hodamataro and Sir Gilbert, you have to have some sort of adjacency or be very, very close, like Ornak. For 4 clear line size spaces, and especially for ranged, so that they have at least, that they have at least 4, ensures that you're not going to be, really, really close to the front lines, which is good. So he's pretty decent. I don't know, again, if he'd really be worth it per se in a smaller bout. He might be, who knows. But it is nice, and especially if you have a large army, like I typically did, these flybearers really shine, and Ligelor would be no different. Obviously not in the direct manner with the Valkyrie die. Ornak, I'm going to place up, and here he's going to be number 1 in B tier. This is going to look like a very straight line here. Now, Ornak is pretty good. Again, with the huge battles, he really shined. I don't ever actually think we really used got to use the other ability that well, because Ornak stays at the back, and his Red Fury aura, being able to go with 2, not 1, 2 heroes who follow Ukar is really good. Torkolna, and who else was a really common one? Yeah, trample stopping all the way. That's really good, and you have to be, I think, within 8 clear line sight space. So you unfortunately have to, they have to have clear line sight, but 8 it's pretty far away. So that's kind of nice. You don't have to be super, super close. And of course, if you want to stay really far back, then you could do like Deathwalker 9000 because he has range. And others, of course, that's just one that comes to mind. And he's worth 100 points, so he's not super expensive. Now, obviously, he's a little bit more cushy with his, life. But, yeah, that's pretty good. And then his orc supports attack thing. I think, let me make sure if I'm reading this correctly. Orc Warrior. I don't think there are any Orc Warrior heroes. If they're Orc Warrior heroes, this would be pretty nice, but it's still nice. to add more attack to them. It's just, you know, it's squads, and these squads normally don't have that much attack. They're also normally bonding, so they're also staying back. So you don't get to use it necessarily a whole lot, and if it is at the end, it probably won't make a necessarily a whole lot of difference because you're the one having to attack. But Ornak, I would say, is pretty good overall, especially with the bonding. The bonding, he really shines with that. Sir Gilbert, definitely one of the lower ones, in my opinion. Again, if you recall from my previous videos about knights, helmet off sort of thing. I will bring up also with regard to structural integrity with the sculpts. No problem with any of these guys in terms of their flags. Are all very solid, except for Sir Gilbert's. Mine has a big stick, and that's it. No flag, no Jandar flag. Needs a bear sculpt. The pole needs to be redesigned or strengthened, reinforced, something, because it's you know, it's a sad case. Everyone else, their flag is a-okay. So just getting that out of the way. But in terms of how good he is, I think it's only squads, right, that his ability affects in terms of movement. So the movement is, yeah, squad figures, and it's only up to 4. It's, you know, it's good for positioning, but, you know, once you're in the thick of battle, you know, any of these other guys, you know, that you can really help and support in the thick of battle. But then Generous Dispatch, once you're in the thick of battle, it's like they're where they need to be. It's like a, unless you're, you know, partnering them with like maybe the really meta Massachusetts line or something. You need, since Massachusetts line is, you know, relatively slow, and you need to get them, you know, where they need to go. Then yeah, that's pretty good. But, you know, once you are where you need to be and you're in the midst of battle, everyone's where they need to be in terms of both armies or multiple armies, whatever, and they're engaging, his support is done for the most part, at least in that regard to that ability. There's not a whole lot you can do. It's going to help. It's better than nothing, but it's not really going to do much. And then, of course, he has the attack aura, which is basically like a fin. So better than nothing, but it's, you know. And with that same kind of thing as I mentioned before, you got to go right up to them and start smacking them, and it's, you know, it's not the best because you have to be putting yourself at danger. Which again, you know, hey, if you have already supported your army the best you can, maybe dying isn't such a bad thing. So, there we go. Sorry if this sounded a little lackluster. I don't know, because I like the flag bearers. I especially like the idea behind them, but I don't know. The flag bearers themselves haven't really carried me away in terms of their mechanics. I think it's nice that they're not too game-changing, I guess. That's maybe the thing is, although Ornak, especially in a really large army, when you have the large army things, can really make a killing. But I don't know. I like the designs, but there's nothing too crazy, I would say. Especially, I guess, coming off the Ragnar's Vision, my favorites of all time, maybe. Then we're at a little bit low point. But I like the idea. I like this. Again, Heroscape had these things, and where, you know, there's extra ancillary battlefield material. So I like it. It's good. It's good. So that's Crest of the Valkyrie. Again, I think I will probably end this series next week with kind of a terrain mashup of, like, you know, the Takala Jungle, Road to Farm Forest, Vulcan Wasteland, Thailing Tundra, that sort of thing. So I'll have to see if there's anything else I could kind of do, but that's probably where I'll end it. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you